Hey everybody, let's talk about when you create an object by rotating a two-dimensional object. Um, what happens when we rotate a 2D object? So 2D objects are like circles, triangles, squares, rectangles, those kinds of shapes. And then when you rotate that, it becomes a three-dimensional object, like a sphere or a cylinder or a cone or a prism, something like that. And so when the 3D shape must be a shape that contains, sorry, the 3D shape must be a shape that contains a circle. Another word for rotating is circling. So we're going to like circle around some line. So let's take a look at a couple examples right here. So here I have find the volume of an object. Of the object created when the triangle ABC, so I starting with a two-dimensional triangle, is rotated about the line x equals 2. Well, let's start by drawing that line x equals 2. It's going to look like this right here. So on the x-axis, I go to where x equals 2. That's going to be a vertical line right here. Okay, so this is my line of rotation. I'm rotating about this line. So here's what's going to happen is when I rotate around this line, then basically what's going to happen is I'm going to reflect it and I'm going to continue to reflect it, and it's going to keep rotating and rotating and rotating, and it's going to spin like kind of on this axis. So the point B, when it rotates around, will kind of come over here. So see how like B is 2 units away from C, then it's going to also come over here. So let me just kind of create what this shape will look like, and I'll do my best to do the three-dimensional part of this. So when I rotate, I'm going to be circling around this line. So not only is it going to reflect, but it's also going to circle. So I'm going to try to make like a circle from here to here and then out and back around like this. So you see what happens when I start with the triangle ABC and I rotate it around that line, x equals 2. What I create is a cone, and I want to find the volume of this cone. So once I decide what the shape is, now I'm going to look back at my formulas to remember what the volume is for a cone. So volume for a cone is 1/3 pi times r squared times h. Okay, so now I need to know two things in order to find the volume. I need to know what is the radius of my cone and what is the height of my cone. So in the within the shape here, the radius is the distance from like point C to point B, so that is 2. And the height is the distance from point C, the center of the base, to point A, which is 3. From 1 to 3. So, or sorry, that's 2. Let me count again. That's just 2. Okay. So also, so both my radius and my height are both the same distances. Probably should have planned that one out better. But that means that to find my volume, the volume is going to be 1/3 times pi times the radius length, which is 2 squared, times the height, which is also 2. Okay, so you just go ahead and multiply that, and that'll find the volume of this particular cone. Okay, how about down here? This one says I want to find the volume of the object created when the quadrilateral ABCD is rotated about the line y equals 2. So again, let me start by drawing that line y equals 2. This time it's going to cross the y-axis at 2. So this is not a vertical line, but it's a horizontal line right here. Okay, so there's my line of rotation, the axis of rotation, I should call it. And so what's going to happen is the point C is going to rotate around point B, and point D is going to rotate around point A. So C is going to end up being up here at like 7. Okay, so it's going to go from B, it's going to rotate all the way up to this point. And then the segment here is going to rotate around this way, and then back down again. So what's going to happen, let me try to draw these circles here. So point C is going to be looping around point B to create a circle. And same thing that's going to happen with point D. It's going to be looping around point A to be making a circle. That's not so bad. So really what happens is I create a cylinder out of this. Okay, so can you imagine a cylinder? It kind of looks like a tuna fish can, like up on its sides. Okay, so I created a cylinder. Again, when up here it says the 3D shape must be a shape that contains a circle, because when I'm rotating around the line, I'm creating a circle this way. Okay, so now I know that my shape that I created is a cylinder, and I want to find the volume of a cylinder. So the volume of a cylinder is just pi r squared h. Now, the one thing that's challenging about this particular one is the cylinder is sitting kind of horizontally. So the height is not the distance from top to bottom. The height is the distance from circle to circle. So that's the distance I'm finding for the height, and the radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the edge of the circle. So from the distance from B to C, or from A to D, or the other way up this way. Okay, so in this case, my radius length is from 2 to 7, so the radius length is 5. But the height is the distance from the circle at the bottom to the circle at the top, or from the left side to the right side, and that's from 0 to 3, so the height is just 3. Okay, so when I make my substitutions in this case to find the volume of this cylinder, the volume is pi times the radius, which is 5 squared, times the height, which is 3. And so multiplying that would find the volume, and I didn't tell you how you should round, but that's what you would do to find the volume of this particular object. Okay, so that's what happens when we rotate a two-dimensional shape. We end up creating an object with a circle, whether it be a cone or a cylinder or something like that. It could be a sphere. If I rotate part of a half circle, would make a sphere. Okay, but there will be a couple practice problems for you guys to try out that, and that's it.